end game. So we could start doing the rest of the run today and we could do the end game stuff. By the way, Ziz was telling me he wants to PvP. He wants to play the exact same build that I'm playing and beat me on it. So that'll be interesting. Ziz is mad. Play Lich then. Should I just play like some dog build and force Ziz to play some dog build? Like, what if I play Shield Crush again? What was it called? Shield Bash? Shield Crush? What build will we be playing? We're playing a Sentinel. I have not decided.
And become stronger as you.
Oh, we hit the line, Oh, it keeps going on, we hit the line. Oh. What is happening?
Wait, I'm desynced. Help! Oh no, I'm lagged out. What? The server crashed. What? Oh my god, I just desynced and died due to the server, and I couldn't do anything. Wait,
no.
I'm desynced.
Alt F4, Alt F4, Alt F4, Alt F4, Alt F4.
I'm lagged out. What?
Dude, what is my damage? I just like 3-shot him.
Shit, the game do look fun. I might buy it.
Bro, this game is such a joke. With this build, I should say.
No! You can't ding this! Oh, come on. I actually died to Lagoon. No shot, dude.
You press space and it's like queued.
Much later.
Time to die, demon.
Look at him. He's not. He still hasn't attacked anything, and I had to stop my character for him to stop sliding. And he hasn't attacked anything in like 10 seconds straight. Same thing here. Look. I mean, look at him. Like, if they don't fix this, I don't know. I'm gonna want to punch myself in the... Whoa! Wait, why am I dying? Am I dead? What's happening? Is it the fucking wave thing? Oh my god. Oh my god, how does that work? Hello? Holy f... I didn't even notice.
How does that work?
I should have been dead. I had that for like a full minute.
No, my game crashed again. No, come on, please. I ulted for it. I did alt F4. Oh, come on.
Dafür wirst du sterben.
What the f...
Oh.
I just feel like this game, if someone explained it to you, they're like, okay, there's 3 main archetypes. There's melee, there's spells, and then the third one is the highest DPS, and you're like... They're like, no. Birds.
Oh, I'm glitched.
Hi, Sisrain here with another video, and today I'm gonna do like a last epoch for new players, or what is last epoch. And this is actually a sponsored video from 11 Hour Games. I'm going to start out by doing the positives, and you might think, well, are you going to cover any negatives at all? And I remember the first time I got sponsored by 11 Hour Games to do last epoch content, I reached out to the CEO Judd, and I asked, can I say negative things about the game? Because if I weren't going to be able to, I wouldn't have done it. But his response was really good. He said, Sis, you can drag the game on stream, and you can say as much negative stuff about it as you want, because we want to make a good game and we want to improve on all the bad things. And I've said quite a lot of bad things about the game, and it started looking like this, which, you know, it was not up to scratch for.
Do you like saving money?
Yes. Oh, hell no.
Well, let's say this is
what ARPGs look like. And now they've improved on it, and it's looking like this. So as you can see, a huge graphic increase from 2017 to today, and they've continued improving on the game. And I want to tell you about my favorite things.
Wait a minute. I thought Last Epoch came out last year. What the fuck? So, on February 21st, 2024, the game was released to the public in 3 editions. But it came out... Okay. I got it.
We'll start off with, for a lot of players, it hits a really good sweet spot between Path of Exile, which might be too complicated for a lot of people, and Diablo 4 that might not end up with enough stuff in the game to do. It's a really perfect sweet spot between those games. A really good thing about Last Epoch is you don't necessarily need a guide to be able to do the in-game content, and the skill trees themselves are a lot more intuitive. So what do I mean by that? Well, each skill has its own skill tree, so you only need to process and read what's in that skill. You don't need to look at like a few hundred nodes and try to seem entirely lost in that. The passive tree is also easier to—
Okay. See, that right there make me want to play it. I don't like when shit is just overly complicated and you gotta read a manual to play the game. So
respec, and only parts of it unlock at a time, so that makes it a lot easier to figure out what to take when you're getting points. The subclasses that you unlock later, which in Last Epoch is called masteries, you can finally respec between later, making it a lot less of a permanent choice. The only permanent choice you're making is the base classes. So let's start with a quick overview of like different builds available for you. Sentinel has a lot of traditional—
I think what will make... So when I play a game, I just want to know that when I get to the end game, there's as much content in game than there is in the main campaign. If they have a lot of in game content, then I'm more likely would buy the game. I think it's like $30 right now.
warrior class builds like Cyclone, Big Slams, and paladin abilities like Blessed Hammer from Diablo 2. Rogue can do fast shadow attacks, traditional bow builds, and a very unique summoner class, the Falconer, which is pretty unlike anything I've seen in an ARPG. Mage has your traditional fire, lightning, and cold builds, and like a hybrid combat mage, combines attacking with abilities enhanced by magic. The Rune Master, however, is particularly interesting. If you played Dota, it is very similar to Invoker. You're basically gaining new spells on the fly. The Primalist, which is generally my favorite, is a really cool druidic summoner. Whether you want wolves, bears, saber-toothed tigers, or even rabid squirrels, they've got you covered. You can also do more elemental spell builds, but on top of that, you have different shape-changing builds available to you, like bear form, spriggan form, even swarmblade form. Ever wanted to be an insect?
The only thing that make me skeptical about playing this game, though, is it came out a while ago, and I don't want to get too into it, and then they come out... But wait, was it? Damn, was it released in 2019 or was it 2024? Was it released in 2019 or was it 20? I know it say. Hold on, man. I'm still confused about this shit. A free playable demo was released as part of Last Epoch's Kickstarter drive in April 2019. The game beta was made available. Okay, so the beta was made available in 2019 via Steam Early Access. So Early Access beta 2019. In December 2019, the title's full release, originally planned for April 2020, was rescheduled to the fourth quarter of 2020. In October 2020, the developers announced the cancellation of the Mac client for the game. In their announcement, they cited anticipated difficulties arising from Apple's transition to computers powered by ARM-based processors. In December 2020, EHG announced that Last Epoch's release was delayed until 2021. Oh, so it kept getting delayed. In March 2023, a multiplayer beta was launched. On February 21st, 2024, the game was released to the public in 3 editions. So I guess the actual... Bro, so they planned to... Damn, it took all those years to release it? Why, though? I mean, I know it's different reasons, but damn. So it hasn't been out for that long. Oh, no wonder why they only got Season 2. Okay, that makes sense.
Now you can. Finally, the Acolyte offers traditional Necromancer summons as well as Fire and Brimstone builds. It even lets you turn into a Lich and kill things. Very hands-on. There are a lot of builds here for anyone, but once you've picked a build, you have to gear it. So how does Last Epoch approach gearing? So if you go to any streamer's chat and ask even random people in their chat what their favorite thing about Last Epoch is, a lot of people are going to say gear. Because Last Epoch has very deterministic gear while still managing to make dropped loot actually interesting. Now, a lot of this goes hand in hand with the item.
As I continue to upgrade my style when I come to the game, I'm about to go
filter. So identification is not a thing in this game. You're never going to have unidentified gear. If you hover over something, you'll know exactly what it does. And because of that, you can highlight or hide anything you would like.
Shit, Diablo 4
So identification is not a thing in this game. You're never going to have unidentified gear.
Wow, bro.
If you hover over something, you'll know exactly what it does. And because of that, you can highlight or hide anything you would like very quickly in this game, as it has a very sturdy built-in item filter. You can find shards on the ground, and you can find gear that has the crafting stats you want, break it down, and then use it in future crafts. But you could technically, from an item you find on the ground, get every stat to level 5 for a total of tier 20. However, there are tier 6 and tier 7 months that are drop only. These are purple, called exalted items. They're drop only, so you cannot craft these. Now, there are new crafting runes coming this season that makes for some exceptions to this, but we don't yet know the drop rate, so I'm not going to cover that here. But really cool that items you find on the ground are actually very important for you. But what game is complete without unique items? Last Epoch is both set items as well as unique items, and in this game you're actually going to be able to break down set items and combine them with rare gear. But the coolest thing in Last Epoch is that uniques have something called legendary potential. Let me break it down for you. An item can drop with between 0 and 4 legendary potential. The rarer the item, the rarer the amount of legendary potential. In an endgame dungeon, you can combine an exalted item with a legendary potential unique and turn it into your very own legendary item. So if a unique has 2 legendary potential, it's going to pick 2 random stats from the exalted item and combine them. You get to keep all the stats that was already on the unique.
So I can tell right now that this got a super advanced crafting system, but they do it in a way to where you don't feel confused and like just like out of touch with what's going on.
But 2 of these will be at random from the exalted item. And a big change in the upcoming patch is that when you're doing the Jolra dungeon at the 2nd level, you're able to choose one exalted stat to put in a 1 LP item. And that means that if you have a legendary potential 4 unique, all of the affixes on the exalted item are going to transfer over. The base is still going to be the one from the unique item, but as you can see, there's some real potential for some chase items here. And yeah, if you're wondering, you can find multiple tier 6 or tier 7 on the same item. And you might be thinking, how does this affect leveling gear? Well, leveling uniques are going to be a lot more common to find with legendary potential. And what's really cool is smashing this together with a endgame item with exalted stats on it does not upgrade the required level of the unique leveling item. That means that you can create insane leveling gear for your new characters, and a lot of people find going through the campaign really boring, and this really alleviates that. Now you might be thinking, oh my god, another ARPG where I have to do the campaign repeatedly? That's another part, you don't. Even on your first character, there's a lot of alternative campaign skips. So they basically let you start on the endgame as early as level 15, and I, on hardcore, usually enter around level 32. There is a choice in the game if you want to be the trading faction that comes with an auction house and aims to make trading easier for...
Trading faction, what?
God, another ARPG where I have to do the campaign repeatedly? That's another part, you don't. Even on your first character, there's a lot of alternative campaign skips. So they basically let you start on the endgame as early as level 15, and I, on hardcore, usually enter around level 32. There is a choice in the game if you want to be the trading faction that comes with an auction house and aims to make trading easier for the player, or a pseudo solo self-found faction which increases your drop rates and makes it easier to target farm the items that you want. Trading between friends, even on this solo self-found faction, is still doable. So everything that you drop while playing with
I sat down and tried last epoch at 7 p.m. Just a quick session. Stretched the legs of the mind. Since to know a bit before bed. Somehow I woke up and the clock said tomorrow. The night disappeared. My back and my eyes were dry. My soul rejuvenated. I hadn't felt this hook since someone dared me to finish a pint of ice cream at 2 a.m. There's a certain magic when a game keeps you up all night without regret. That just one more echo feeling hit different in last epoch suddenly at 6 a.m. I'm not about to read all that, but damn, he really went in. Diablo 4 may have the budget, but last epoch has the soul. PoE may have death, but last epoch has design that respects you from hour one. You're not playing a spreadsheet, you're playing a masterpiece with a damage multiplier. You and your team have created something timeless. So yeah, I stayed up all night. I didn't regret it.
with somebody you can gift to the other player, which means that you can both be playing with these increased drop rates together. The endgame is getting a huge overhaul this patch, and a lot of people feel like Last Epoch has been a little bit lacking here, so hopefully that is going to be a very welcome change. It is going to feature more random things to encounter while doing the endgame echoes, and the ecosystem does let you chase down the loot that you're interested in, and gives you a lot of player agency. You're then making your way through the monolith system, which has a bunch of bosses and has endgame harbingers, which eventually leads to a super endgame boss called Abaroth. With this patch adding even more bosses and points of interest in the monolith system, there should not be a shortage of stuff to do. So for $35, this is a pretty solid game. You might be wondering, do I have to buy stash tabs or anything like that? No, all of that is bought with in-game gold that you grind each season, The in-game purchases are purely cosmetics, things like changing the way abilities look, changing portals, and giving you new cosmetics of what your character wears. And like I said at the start, even though this is a sponsored video, I have no problems with pointing out the negative things. So let's start out with the auction house. The auction house is sadly one of the worst things I have experienced and really needs a lot of work. Now, it is still the most powerful way to gear, but it is very cumbersome to go between all the different vendors, and it does not have a central hub, so you end up wasting a lot of time, and honestly, it just feels quite clunky and just not that good. Also,
You know what? Monster Hunter Wilds have that problem. I'm used to Monster Hunter having like different maps and all that different shit, but it's just unorganized. So I don't, maybe that's not too much of an issue.
leveling up the trading faction did take a very long time when I was trying it. Now, part of this is probably because I was hardcore, but I definitely will not be doing the trading faction until it gets an update. But if you do try the find your own gear faction, you'll see why it's universally loved and why a lot of people are asking if Path of Exile will ever have something similar for their solo self-found mode. Another thing that I would classify as a downside is how long it was since the last update. It was 7 months, but thankfully they clarified in the last interview with me that they're hoping to have a patch out every 4 months, making it a lot more predictable to like throw into your ARPG cycle. I've also had issues with long load screens, and around launch they did have their share of server issues. They were, however, really good at giving updates very often what was going on, and did finally fix it. But that was definitely a big issue. A really good thing though is for all of those issues, the game does have an offline mode, so if everything else goes to hell, you can always play in the offline mode even if you don't have internet access, which is a huge plus of the game, while can be used to counter some of the downsides. And the biggest downside that I'm hoping is fixed by this patch is that past 200 or past 400 hours, it was starting to be a lot less stuff to do in the end game, and you would get bored definitely around that time. So hopefully this patch lets you go beyond those. And
Yeah, wait, but when was this? When did he release this video? This was released. And when did he drop this video? Okay, 2 days ago. That shit was right in my face 2 days ago. So hopefully season 2 they've added more in-game content. It cannot be understated how well ESG nailed the crafting system. With Last Epoch, you have full determinism up to a certain limit. Surprisingly, this makes grinding for gear much more fun because you will spend a lot of time hunting for high tier equipment and then use the crafting mechanics to polish that chase item to something perfect for your needs. Uniques beyond chase items are much more relevant if you manage to find one with legendary potential, making uniques in this game more flexible.
really grind out your heart in this ARPG. Anyway, this is a sponsored video, so make sure you check out the comments, see if people agree with me or disagree, and you'll probably have a lot of different opinions in the comments as well. They'll help make your opinion on whether this is a pickup or something you should leave and wait. But either way, thanks for watching, sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.
Check this out. I'm gonna show
So a little over a year ago, ARPG fans got a pleasant surprise, if you recall, with the release of Last Epoch, an indie title that proved to punch far above its weight class, delivering a hack-and-slash loot grinding experience that rivaled that of other big names in the genre. In fact, at release, I played somewhere around like 100 hours, had a fantastic time, which I discussed in numerous videos, before I eventually put the game down, planning to return in a future update. And it looks like that time has arrived. arrived with the release of patch 1.2, Tombs of the Erased. This adds a ton of new content, new features, endgame changes, class balance, new items, and loads of quality of life. Last week, 11th Hour Games reached out asking to sponsor a video where I got to take a look at the update early, and as such, I have been playing over the course of this past week, putting in a ton of time. I leveled up a Beastmaster, reached the end game, saw all the new stuff, and so here is my overview of what you can look forward to in patch 1.2. This already great ARPG is getting even better. All right, so I'd like to begin with all of the big new stuff, everything that is themed around the patch's namesake, and I am in particular talking about the new faction of the Woven, along with all of their associated new content. So the Woven are described as this group of worshippers devoted to the Weaver. You'll of course remember those Weaver items in the base game, and this has got influence spread across the whole Monolith of Fate, spawning in new challenges and opportunities. Now, as for the faction itself, it's a lot of spider-like new creatures, but beyond being new enemies for you to fight, they are also tied directly into a whole bunch of new content. First is the Tombs of the Erased. Now, these are new procedurally generated side zones that are occupied by the Woven with their own
Okay, so procedurally generated. I remember, I think No Man's Sky do that too. Okay.
Unique bosses and rewards inside. So these tombs can and will spawn in any echo outside of the specific quest and arena echoes. Now, as a reminder, echoes are the name for Last Epoch's map-like system. These are the nodes that you traverse when you go through the monolith in the end game. So every one of these, besides the quest and arena ones in particular, any other echo that you come across can have tombs inside of them. In fact, many will. In my experience, it seems like a majority of echoes will have a tomb inside of them. Now, you can actually tell right away if there is a tomb in your current map, as there will be cocoons spotted all throughout the environment. So if you see these cocoons, keep looking, because a tomb entrance isn't going to be far away. But then also, the cocoons come with their own mechanics. Breaking one of these will release a captured soul, who will then go to possess nearby enemies, making them stronger, and then rewarding memory ambers as a result of killing them. Memory amber is a new currency for the Woven faction, which we'll get to here in a moment. Cocoons can also sometimes spawn a rare enemy with nice rewards as well. And then beyond being found in the Echo map on the initial layer, you're also going to encounter cocoons inside of the tombs once you get there. So you're in an Echo, you're walking around, you see a cocoon, maybe you break a couple to power up enemies and get the new currency. You eventually find the entrance to the tomb, you step inside. What's that look like? Well, you're going to be hacking your way through hordes of the new Woven enemies, as well as encountering rares and elites along the way. You're going to find side paths that have treasure chests loaded up with items, and then once you reach the end of a tomb, you'll see one of multiple potential gold thread Fate Weaver bosses. Defeating them will then finally let you advance to the loot room, where you'll find a chest containing a duplicate of the current Echo's bonus rewards as a result of clearing the tomb. Now, also in that room is this Woven device that can be used to enchant any class-specific idols, granting them powerful additional perks. This is a whole nother layer to the end game gear progression and build progression system. So that's one of the main highlights of this update. You got these random tombs as you're going about the end game, doing the mapping, moving through the echoes. You're going to see the tombs, you go in the tombs, you clear the enemies, you fight the boss at the end, and you get a whole bunch of new stuff and mechanics as a result of that. Now, beyond the tombs, we also have cemeteries of the erased. This is an entirely new echo type found in your echo web. It's basically like a tomb, except bigger and comes with more stuff. So you do have the same general objective. You go to the cemetery, you click on the echo, you load into the cemetery, you move through it, defeating the Woven enemies, busting open cocoons, fighting the boss at the end, and collecting your loot rewards. Then, in addition, completing a cemetery will grant you access to this altar of the Weaver. Here you can place Woven echoes. So these are a new type of echo that essentially allows you to customize the layout of your web, choosing whatever particular objectives and rewards that essentially allows you to customize to this altar of the Weaver. Here you can place Woven echoes. So these are
enemies have 35% critical strike, avoidance of 15 increase. Wait, so you can modify the you can modify the enemy stats? Hold on.
Of the erased. This is an entirely new echo type found in your echo web. It's basically like a tomb except bigger and comes with more stuff. So you do have the same general objective. You go to the cemetery, you click on the echo, you load into the cemetery, you move through it, defeating the woven enemies, busting open cocoons, fighting the boss at the end, and collecting your loot rewards. Then, in addition, completing a cemetery will grant you access to this altar of the Weaver. Here you can place woven echoes. So these are a new type of echo that essentially allows you to customize the layout of your web.
Always drops a unique melee weapon placed at the altar of the Weaver and complete echo to earn Weaver tree point. So I guess that's the Weaver tree point. You get 100.
Choosing whatever particular objectives and rewards that you're after. So there are 36 different woven echoes currently available. Some of these feature completely new endgame bosses along with enhanced versions of existing bosses. They also provide unique rewards as well as entirely new endgame crafting mechanics, which we'll cover.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store
in a moment. So after you find and complete your very first cemetery, you're going to be taken to the Haven of Silk. This is a new area which introduces us to the Woven faction system. So you gain reputation with the Woven faction by earning and spending memory amber, that currency that we mentioned earlier that you'll find in the tombs and cemeteries, as well as just by slaying Woven enemies. Now with every new rank that you get in the Woven's faction, you'll be introduced to new Woven echoes that you can purchase from the vendor that will then be placed into the altar at the end of any cemetery that you clear, customizing your echo web. And then if you go about selecting and completing those woven echoes, if you do those maps, that's going to reward you points into the new Weaver tree. So with the Woven faction, we've got the new Weaver tree. This, if you do those maps, that's going to reward you points into the new Weaver.
Total Weaver points from rank 3 out of 13 from the Woven Echoes, 2 out of 13. Uncompleted echoes.
Tree. So with the Woven faction, we've got the new Weaver tree. This tree provides all sorts of perks that will have an impact on your endgame experience. In fact, the developer has said that this system was designed in order to provide players with more agency here, letting you influence the rewards and encounters that you come across. How does this work exactly? Well, the Weaver tree basically functions like a passive or skill tree, but instead of modifying your character's abilities, it modifies the endgame, the Monolith of Fate. So you can gain a maximum of 50 points that will be obtained as you increase your rank with the Woven, as well as by completing Woven Echoes. And there are roughly 70 nodes in total in the tree currently. And here are some examples of the types of things you can pick from. So there's one node that actually lets you imprint an item into it for a chance for similar items to be granted as extra rewards whenever you complete Echoes. So if there's an item that you really like, but you want better rolls on, you select this node, you toss the item in there, you run Echoes, more of that item drop, boom, you will eventually get better rolls. There's also a node in the Woven tree that gives you a chance for beacons to be replaced by super beacons that will reveal more echoes in the web. You can gain a chance for a special follower to move through echoes with you, which will boost your gold drops.
Ooh, I like
you can
that.
have it so that arena echoes are converted into super arena echoes, or if you hate arenas, there's a node that lets you remove arena echoes entirely from the map. You can gain a chance for your tombs and cemeteries to have these possessed nemesis inside of them. You can choose to replace any common echo rewards like glyphs, runes, and gold with different, better random rewards. And you can add new echo reward types such as memory amber, woven echoes, and dungeon keys, as well as charms dropping as rewards from echoes. And those are just a few examples of the once more 70 different nodes available in this tree. With this, they've also introduced some new options for endgame itemization and crafting. Most of this is tied into the whole Woven system, the echoes, the tombs, and the cemeteries, and all of that. So we've got set reforging. You can now shatter set items at the Forge of Shattering in a Great Bridge Woven Echo. This will give you shards specific to that set item, which can then be crafted onto other items, making that item count as that set and working towards any set bonuses. In the Farsight
That's raw. So wow, I like that. Okay, so damn. Okay.
Turtle Woven Echo, you can come across the Transmuting Gem to re-roll the legendary potential of any items placed into it. So this is great if you get a good item, but that has a low legendary potential roll. In the Gauntlet of Strife Woven Echo, you can use the Sacrificial Altar. Here, if you place any unique, legendary, Weaver's Will, or set item into it, it will re-roll all of its affix values onto a matching item. There's also the Relic of the Observer, which lets you replace a non-sealed attribute affix with a different attribute of your choosing. There's a device in the Rune Prison. complex that now lets you replace a prefix with an experimental affix on boots, gloves, or a belt. And they've added 3 brand new crafting runes. You got the Rune of Havoc, which will shuffle the tiers of affixes on an exalted item. You've got the Rune of Redemption, which randomly changes the exalted affixes on an item into new ones. And then you've got the Rune of Weaving, which converts a random amount of Weaver's Will or Weaver's Touch on an item into additional affixes or affix tiers on that item. Also, we've got a new type of enemy. These are called champions, a subset of rare enemies with their own unique names and more powerful abilities. There are 20 champions in the game. You will encounter them all throughout. They're larger than other enemies and have this orange highlight to distinguish them. They are based on existing enemies, but come with added and altered abilities. These are going to spawn as you go through the campaign, as you're in dungeons, and while you're going through the endgame monolith. They're always going to drop an item with a sealed champion affix that will be determined by that champion's mod. So for example, a volcano champion will always drop a belt with volcano champion.
Hey California homeowner, did you know that PG&E is now the most expensive electricity provider?
Champion's affix on it. They also have a small chance to drop exceptional loot. As an example, you can get just a pile of uniques plopped on the floor. So these are new enemies you can encounter that come with some pretty big rewards. All right, so that pretty much does it for all of the title new big content. All of the stuff themed around the Weavers, these new enemies, the new bosses. You got the tombs and the cemeteries, you got the faction system, the Weaver echoes, and then all of the associated rewards and endgame changes that go along with them. But besides all of that stuff, there's also pages upon pages upon pages of additional changes, improvements, and quality of life updates that are coming with this patch. Here are some highlights. All right, first we got some updates to monoliths and dungeons. For monoliths, they've added new objectives such as slay X champions or exile mages, activate shrines or open lost chest until you get ambushed, stabilize an echo, or find a cocooned item. They've also improved arena echoes. They now have fewer waves and provide better rewards. Enemies in the arena now also move faster when they are further away from the player. Enemies will also spawn faster, and there's a random champion that now spawns at the end of the arena's last wave. In Spire Echoes, all of the spires now spawn with a Spire Guardian, which is a special mini boss which comes with its own rewards. And if you die in an echo, any items within a small area around your corpse will be automatically brought out with you. So if you happen to die just before picking up a super valuable item, don't worry, you
That's raw as fuck. So if you think you might die, you might want to stand next to whatever items you want to collect if you haven't picked them up. Oh shit.
So a little over a year ago,
damn,
rare enemies with their own unique names and more powerful abilities. There are, and while you're going, for example, a volcano champion for all of the title new big content. All of the stuff themed around the Weavers, these new enemies, the new bosses. You got the tombs and the cemeteries, you got the faction system, the Weaver echoes, and then all of the associated rewards and endgame changes that go along with them. But besides all of that stuff, there's also pages upon pages upon pages of additional changes, improvements, and quality of life updates that are coming with this patch. Here are some highlights. All right, first we got some updates to monoliths and dungeons. For monoliths, they've added new objectives such as slay X champions or exile mages, activate shrines or open lost chest until you get ambushed, stabilize an echo, or find a cocooned item. They've also improved arena echoes. They now have fewer waves and provide better rewards. Enemies in the arena now also move faster when they are further away from the player. Enemies will also spawn faster, and there's a random champion that now spawns at the end of the arena's last wave. In Spire Echoes, all of the spires now spawn with a Spire Guardian, which is a special mini boss which comes with its own rewards. And if you die in an echo, any items within a small area around your corpse will be automatically brought out with you. So if you happen to die just before picking up a super valuable item, don't worry, you will take that out along with you. They also improved the End of Time and Monolith Hub's visuals. They've made checking every timeline's corruption level easier. You no longer have to click through into it. You're just going to see it on the surface level. They've made timeline completion quests now reward significantly more experience experience, and they've improved game performance on several monoliths. Dungeon improvements here, we got some updates. They introduced the key charms to modify your dungeon experience. You can now also respawn in dungeons by spending a key, and completing every dungeon for the first time will now reward 2 passive points and 1 idle unlock. There were quite a few class and skill updates with some adjustments to a few mechanics and abilities. For example, ailments got a buff, making sure that you can't accidentally override a more powerful version of a dot by reapplying it too early. They've also updated and improved evade. It should be more responsive, can now be followed up with instant attacks more quickly, and they made some bug fixes to many skills and abilities across the game. Now, as for class updates, they have made adjustments to every class, but in particular, the Sentinel got the biggest overhaul. This is the highlight here,
Sentinel.
with their aim to just try to be making the class more fun. They made a lot of skill changes, they updated the passives, they reworked the skill tree and how time rot works. It seems like they're just boosting this up across the board, which is interesting because there were Sentinel builds that were like S tier the last time I played this game, but nevertheless, they're trying to improve the class by making it more enjoyable to play. Definitely think it's worth a revisit. I probably would like to actually try a Paladin build once I'm done with my Beastmaster. Bunch of quality of life improvements. This is great stuff here. You can now respec your mastery. This is done in the end of time at the same NPC that you previously used to respec passive points. So respecing your mastery is also going to reset all passive points that you have for 1 upfront cost. They've added WASD support, which can be toggled in the control section of the settings. They do refer to this as experimental, as it is still a work in progress, so just be forewarned. They made a bunch of inventory management improvements, adding multiple new inventory tabs for different types of items, making keys and woven echo stackable, and moving the transfer materials button. They also added auto storing for certain item types, so when you pick up common or rare shards, runes, and glyphs, along with keys and woven echoes, all of this will now automatically be sent to its proper storage. They've improved item pickups, increasing item pickup radius by 40%. They've added offhand weapon and ring comparison. Finally, they added an in-game announcement system for big things like hardcore deaths of any players in the top 100, or the first player to reach every level, or the first player to kill a pinnacle boss, etc. They made some improvements to the loot filter. They added a bug reporter, and they've also updated the game guide to reflect a lot of the new additions that came with this patch. And there's a bunch more. We got a lot of balance updates for items, enemies, and affixes. There's a whole bunch of new uniques, as well as updates to old uniques. They've added updates and improvements to both Circle of Fortune and Merchants Guild factions, and just some general improvements across the board to controller support and how targeting works. And a lot of polish and visual updates here. Visuals and sounds across the board should be better. This applies to skills, enemies and NPCs, the game's voice acting, environments and zones, pretty much everything, just top to bottom. The game now looks and sounds better. All right, so that pretty much does it for our look at Last Epoch's patch 1.2, Tombs of the Erased. As I said, I've been playing over the course of the past week, leveling up a Beastmaster. Well, I actually started as kind of a Druid spec, going with like a tornado build as I'm like running around in a bear form, electrocuting everything, and that was a lot of fun. But I recently decided to try out this other endgame build, which is more focused. It's a Beastmaster build, so it's all about using my Storm Crows and dealing a bunch of damage with them as we boost them up. And I also have to do like this snapshotting thing where I summon my crows with a set of gear used to boost them, and then I swap the gear to make myself more defensive while my crows keep my offensive abilities, and then I go through monoliths like that before having to redo it. I don't know, dude. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. It's been a great revisit. Just in general, this game was an absolute blast when I played it last year, and this looks like the update to come back to. Like, I've really, really been enjoying it. There's a lot in here. I've been having fun myself, and I'm definitely going to be jumping in again. I've been playing on preview servers. None of what I've done is carrying over to the live, so I'm going to jump in again once the update officially comes out, play again on live servers. And yeah, I think I'll probably, actually, you know what, maybe I'll try the new Sentinel with the live servers, because I've already done the Beastmaster thing with preview playthrough that I did. So yeah, maybe I'll just jump in and check out the Sentinel, see if there's any good Paladin builds worth playing. If you'd like to learn more and check it out yourself, there is of course a link in the description below. Either way though, it's a great time right now for anyone who enjoys ARPGs. That is without question. I spent a few solid weeks playing Path of Exile. We got Last Epoch right now and this update, which I should be playing for the foreseeable future. And then at the end of the month, we got No Rest for the Wicked as well. It's good, dude. It's sitting pretty right now. Lots to do. Lots to play. No complaints, though. That's it for today. Thank you as always for watching. Hope you enjoyed this update, checking out Last Epoch's latest update. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.